Hey guys, Rollout here, and welcome back to Builder's Block. This episode's a little different than usual. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of my LEGO workshop. We'll explore how I sort my bricks and how I display my creations. In the next episode, I'll get back to building as usual, but I hope you'll enjoy this little detour. Starting next month, I'm also making a small but significant change to my Patreon page. It seems like nobody's particularly interested in the $10 pledge option, so I'm getting rid of it. There will only be 3 simple tiers now. The first gets you access to the feed, the second connects us on Discord and lets you purchase my LEGO models, and the third gets you a verbal shout-out in every episode. With this change, I'll be crediting every single patron in text, not just warriors and leaders, but scout class too. For just $1, you'll get your name listed at the end. Simple as that. As always, if you can afford it, consider supporting the show, and with that said, let's get started. So I recently got a third Akro-Mils cabinet. 2 was no longer enough for everything I needed at my disposal, so I expanded into a third, and that meant resorting all of this in order to fill it up. So what's in these drawers is now fresh on my mind again, and I thought I would use this opportunity to take a tour of my LEGO collection so you can see what I'm working with. Although because people are going to ask anyway, I should also take this opportunity to show off my LEGO display shelves as well. So you can see I have some soundproofing panels on the wall behind my shelves here. The house I'm living in currently is very old. There's a frickin' skeleton keyhole on the door, and there's not very much insulation. So I have to do this in order to make the room sound semi-normal. Otherwise, the echo in here is insane. Up on this shelf, I have the LEGO Ideas Wally, the LEGO Ideas Light Cycles. I have the Overwatch Bastion, which transforms into a turret. I have this Mixel Max here, which transforms into a fire truck. That's kind of a theme on this shelf. I have a LEGO movie display with the construction mech as the centerpiece. Here's Hammond from Overwatch, who transforms into a wrecking ball. I also have this old Technic set from the 80s. This is a robot that transforms into a truck. This is the first official LEGO Transformer, and I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. I kind of want to do little reviews on all of these official transforming robots from the perspective of somebody who builds LEGO Transformers. Let me know if you want to see something like that. I also have the Ideas Voltron, but that's over on my Voltron shelf, or at least my Robot Cats shelf. Finally, I have BB-8 over here. I think he looks great next to the Wally set. They're very similarly styled. I also have the collectible minifigures, Super Sentai Red there. I really hope they do an entire team of Super Sentai Rangers. On this shelf, I have Doctor Who. And then over on the other side, I have Harry Potter Doctor Who. And then in the middle, I have my Monkey Kid display with the big warrior mech and my minifigure collection down below. Monkey Kid is my favorite LEGO theme since Bionicle, full stop. Finally, we get to my actual mock shelves. Here is a trophy from Bricks Cascade, as well as a smaller honorable mention trophy down below it. I figure since I was awarded these, I might as well display them. Unfortunately, Bricks Cascade was canceled in its traditional form this year, so rest in peace until next year at least. Here I have some Zoids, as well as some synchro frames behind them. Here's the Promare guys. Some motorcycles, the Nuva Cube, Gridman, Gundam, the Megazord, the Dimensional Robos, some micro figures, the Mask of Ultimate Power, some Beyblades, and finally my Bricks Cascade badge. At last, we get to the Transformer shelf. I have 2 of each built so that I can have them displayed in both robot and vehicle mode. I did this mostly for the benefit of conventions so that I could demonstrate that one transforms into the other without actually handling them, but they look pretty good this way up on the shelf as well. Luckily, I build in such a small scale that it's pretty easy to build 2 of each without spending too much money. Down below here, I have Devastator on display because I have no room for him on the main shelf. So he's on top of one of my Akro-Mils. On this Acro, I have Classic Quick Stop, Classic Colors Quick Stop, the original Alpha, and some brick separators. And then on top of this one, I have a collection of miscellaneous minifigures, things I threw together for comparisons in showcases and for Builder's Block. Before we go through these drawers one by one, I would like to mention that I do not typically sort by color. I think that's an easy mistake people make very early on when they decide to sort their Lego collection, because sorting by color is an easy metric to follow, but you quickly realize that it's very inefficient. If you're trying to find a small blue piece in a sea of other blue pieces, it's going to be excruciating. But if you sort by shape instead, your brain does a lot of the work for you. Say I want to find a blue 1x1 bracket. It's easy to see the blue ones just by association, by contrast with the other colors. So I think sorting by color is largely unimportant. Anyway, here are 1x1 brackets up in the top corner here. I don't differentiate between the inverted ones and the normal ones in this case, because I don't have quite enough to do that. However, the 2x1s, I do sort between this type and this type. I have some longer brackets here. I have some weird plate brick amalgamations with studs all over. I don't know. They're useful in certain situations, especially these ones. We have some bar tiles here. We have some hinge bricks. And we've got some turntables. Over here, we've got headlight bricks. We've got Technic bricks, 1x1s. Plenty of Travis bricks. We've got some 1x1s with a stud on either side. We've got some 1x1s with a stud on 2 other sides here. Relatively new piece that. We have a 1x1 with a stud on one side, and then we get to 2x1s. These ones have studs on either side, and these ones have studs on just the one side here. Going over here, we've got some modified 1x1s with some weird bars and clips and things attached to them. We've got these plates with the hitch piece attached to them. We've got some other Technic plates, again, both inverted and not inverted. Same thing here. Some more Technic plates, all different kinds. Some Technic plates with pin connections, specifically in here. And then some flick fire missile guys in here as well. Here's some Technic pins and axles. This isn't nearly all of my Technic pins and axles. I have a much larger bucket of Technic we'll take a look at in just a bit. But this is just a handful that I've decided to put in a drawer here, just so I have them at my fingertips when I'm at my table here. And then I have some half pins and quarter pins there, which I use quite a lot. Here's some various tooth plates. Got some roof tile pieces. Got some various slope plates, as well as the tiles that match their angle. Got some flag pieces, gate pieces, some 2x3s with clips attached to them in here. We have some curved slopes, both the 2x4s and 2x2s in there. And then we have the 1x2. We've got 1x4s. And then we've got a bunch of inverted tiles in here. So we have the inverted curved slopes, as well as the inverted tiles. And then the 1x2 inverted slopes as well. All this is very, very useful. I love these pieces. One of the best developments LEGO has made in the last several years. Got some more Technic in here. Again, this isn't all of my Technic. This is more like gears and bushings and just other interesting bits that I might want to use at some point that I just like having separated out from my big Technic bucket. Got all sorts of tires in here. This is mostly the rubber tires that I use most often. Again, I have another big bag of tires that are much larger that I rarely, if ever, use. Got some more slope bits in here. Got some more curved slopes. Again, both inverted and not. Got some larger brackets in here. Again, inverted and not. All sorts of fences. We have all sorts of wedges in here. I used to have these separated out between the left and right associated ones, but I found it wasn't really relevant too often, so I just put them all into one again. It's fine, it's easy to find what I need to find. Again, mostly because if I need a yellow one, I can just dig through and find all the yellow ones and then go from there. Here are all of my wedges that don't have the left and right association to them. This is a drawer that is just full of like stands and accessories and effect parts, things that are pre-built. Sometimes I put small work in progress creations in here too. I think if you have a set of Akro-Mils cabinets, this is a good drawer to have. Just some like stuff that you're currently working on or things that are pre-built that you don't really want to display, but you like to have handy. This single drawer that has stuff like that has always been like an essential mainstay of my sorted collection. Got some soft ratchets in here, male and female connectors in there. Just, it's madness in there. I don't use those too often. That's the reason for it. And then we got hinge plates. I have so many hinge plates. Obviously, it's one of my favorite pieces to use for Transformers. And speaking of which, we got all kinds of toe ball mixel connections in here. Moving on to the second cabinet, I'm realizing that there's sort of an ASMR quality to this, with the way the drawers come in and out, and the way the bricks click together. Maybe I should start whispering. I'm sorry if you're not into that. But anyway, we got some flags and fins and signs in here. In here, we have rods and antenna that have additional connection points to them. And then in here, we have more traditional lightsaber rods in various sizes. Here we have lamp holder plates, very useful. And then here we have the crown jewels, the trifecta of broken rounded pieces that allow me to do absolutely stupid things. I love these, and of course, I have plenty of them at this point so that I can abuse their powers. We have some T-bars and faucets and fire hoses in here. All those have kind of a similar purpose, I think. In here, we have vines and ropes and nets and chains and tubes. In here, we have rubber bands, and in here, we have flex tube. These are my cheaty drawers. In here, we have spiky things and feathery things and horns and all sorts of stuff like that. In here, we have bones and ribs. In here, we have levers. And in here, we have, I don't know, things with bar attachments of some kind. You got some wheels, you got some torch holders, you got some shields in here as well. I don't know, it makes sense to me. In this section of the cabinets, we get a little bit more esoteric. I start sorting things based on feeling rather than logic, per se. In here, we have things that are specifically minifigure wearables. So we've got like these lifesavers that go around their necks. We got some flippers that go on their feet, as well as like skis and ice skates and things like that. And then we have these neck holder pieces, which of course are far more useful than just attaching things to minifigures. Over here, we have effect parts, flames and lightning and smoke and stuff like that. In here, we have rod-like tools, things that have like a pole arm attached to them. So you got like rakes, but you also have like halberds and spears. In here, we have things that could be associated as projectile weapons. So, I mean, you have bows and arrows, you got laser guns, and you got like actual stud launchers as well. In here, we have more melee-like weapons. So we've got like a flail. Of course, we've got swords and claws and these little chakram thingies, axes, stuff like that. In here, we have treasure. So we got like jewels and ingots and crystals and stuff like that. In here, we have things that I consider more tool-like, utility-like, things I would not consider a weapon. So we've got like, you know, like an Indiana Jones style whip. We've got cups. We've got these cameras here. We've got a sextant. We've got grappling hooks, stuff like that. In here, we have things that are technically considered minifigure tools or utensils, but have such a vague shape that they are extremely multi-purpose. I think a good example of this is the binocular piece here. Like, obviously that is meant to be a minifigure, pair of binoculars. But this can be so many things. This can be greeble, this can be a thruster, this can be a gun. It's like ridiculously useful to the point where its original purpose is almost irrelevant. And I feel like most everything in here has a similar quality. In here, we have vegetation and food and small animals. So all those things are basically the same. In here, we have things that are similar to lightsaber handles. Things that are, we'll call them rod extensions. We got telescopes in here. We got candles in here. We, of course, have the lightsaber handles. And we also have the Monkey Kid bars, which are relatively new and very, very useful. Or at least very interesting. I haven't found like a super amazing use for them yet, to be perfectly honest. Here, we've got, well, I consider them a camera more than anything else. I see this shape and I say, yeah, that's like a big old camcorder. Technically, I guess they're more like Travis bricks, which maybe means I should put them over here somewhere. I don't really have room for them over here, so I put them over here next to minifigure parts because, hey, I guess they're close enough to a camera for me. Here we got things that have like a stud connection, but also a bar, but also like a weird amount of detail that I don't know what to do with. We're getting super obscure, guys. There's something about every piece in here that I find similar to one another. And I don't know how to articulate that fully, but I've sorted them together for that reason. In here, we have all sorts of robot arms and skeleton arms and appendages. In here, we have specifically this shape of droid or skeleton arm that has a very particular use, of course. In here, we have specifically the Exoforce robot arms, which again, have a very specific use occasionally. And then in here, we have the Exoforce mechanical claw. In here, we have a whole bunch of minifigure hands. Oh, the horror. A lot of people will frown upon this. We don't do that here. In here, we start to get to just traditional tiles and plates. So we got 2x1 tiles there. We got 1x4 tiles. We got 2x2 tiles. And we got both 2x4 and 2x3 tiles in here. Now these 8 drawers is where I actually start to sort by color just based on necessity. I just have so many of each of these plates that they will not fit in a single drawer, and I don't want to sort them into a bag or a bigger bin somewhere else. I like having these pieces at my fingertips. I like having them here because I use them so often, and I want every single copy of these bricks at my disposal immediately. So I want them in these drawers, but they will not fit in these drawers. So I have to put them in 2 drawers, and I don't just want it to be random. I don't just want to have like a portion of all of my 2x1s in between 2 drawers. So I've decided to sort them between very colorful colors and monochrome colors. That isn't sorted correctly. So we also have 1x4s with this distinction, 2x2s, and 2x3s. Moving on to the third and final cabinet. Up here we have clip tiles, and then the plate version. Here we have horizontal clips. Here we have horizontal clips that are 2x1s. And then here we have the same, but with the clip on the long side. Here we have 2x1s with a bar, and 2x1s with a bar on the long side as well. And then here we have 2x1s with a funny segmented bar on the long side. Over here, we have 1x3 plates. I do wish I had another larger drawer for this, because I feel like that is just about pushing it. I also have the cross pieces in here because I consider this 2 crossed 1x3 plates. Here's some 1x3 tiles. We got all sorts of corner tiles in here. And then we have half tile, half plates in here. So the 2x2s as well as the 1x4s. In here we have 2x2 wedges. So we have this sort and this sort as well. In here we have 1x2s with the rail on the side. In here we have 1x2s with the bar sticking up on the side, as well as this abomination of the same piece. And then we have the more exhaust pipe looking bar piece as well. And here we have good old-fashioned 1x1 tiles. And then we have some 1x1 tiles with some weird shapes and contours to them, more specialized pieces. And here we have the 2x1 cheese slope. In these two, we have finger hinges. So we have 3 finger hinges and 2 finger hinges separated. And here we have grills, and here we have grill slopes. In here we have things with like a pointed corner to them. So we have this like Nexo shield, but then we also have these slopes with a pointed corner as well. Over here we have 1x1 rounds with a tile surface, so without studs. And here we have the 1x1 rounds with an open stud. And here we have 2x2 rounds We have the jumper as well as the one with a hole in the middle here. And then in this one, we just have the normal 2x2 round tiles. I also threw the fan piece in here as well because it also doesn't have studs. Here we have the boat tile or the inverted dome piece. Then we have 2x2 dishes, 3x3 dishes, and 4x4 dishes. Next, we have good old-fashioned 1x1 plates, 1x1 round plates, 1x1 bricks, and 1x1 round bricks, as well as cones, and this funny little rocket fin piece. In here, we have 1x1 cheese slopes. In here, we have some longer tiles. In here, we have 2x2 plates with the axle hole. And then in here, we have 2x4 plates with the Technic holes. Now you'll notice I do not have any other 2x4 plates separated. And that's because I just have too many. To even pull this number over here, they will not fit in even 2 entire larger drawers. So my compromise is that I've just decided to sort these out instead. All of my other 2x4 plates are in a bag, in a bin, in storage. Pretty much anything I need a 2x4 in, this will suffice, at least temporarily. And then I can go get my 2x4 in whatever color I actually need it in from the bag. And of course, if I actually need a 2x4 with the Technic holes in it, I've got those sorted out specifically here. Then we have the vertical clips. We have jumper plates. We have 2x2 jumper plates. And finally, we have corner plates. And then over on the other wall of my office, I have these larger bins. Things that I either don't use very often, are too big for the scale I usually build in, or I simply don't have room for go in these bins. So over here, we have bricky bricks, large, big old bricks that I rarely ever use. I also have Technic bricks in here, but anything that is just your basic brick shape, that's in there. In here, I have things that are slightly more specialized, so like slopes and wedges and arches and stuff like that, but still very much big bricks that, again, I just don't use very often. Down here, we have larger plates. In this smaller tub here, we have 1x2s and 1x3 bricks, all different kinds, all different sorts of modifications, but anything that is 1x2 or 1x3 is in there. I do go to those every once in a while. I just have so many of them, and I just don't feel like spending the real estate in my Akro-Mils on bricks like this. Here is my larger Technic bin. Anything that isn't in the Akro-Mils is in here. That's just a big old bin of Technic. And then I have 2 bins of very specialized Bionicle pieces. So in here I have things I consider armor, and in here I have things I consider body parts. These 3 bins are a little bit more interesting. Down here is just stuff that is so large or specialized I may never use it. This is like modified plates and other. Just anything that like is weird or I don't use often enough to sort out, but I might use it at some point. Yeah, that goes in there. That's kind of my other bin. And then in here is stuff that I use pretty regularly, but I just have too much of it to sort properly into my acros. Eventually, I'm probably going to get yet another cabinet, but right now, this is the way it is. I have larger tires in here. I have those 2x4s in here. I have the smaller brick slopes in here. I have all of my minifigure parts. I have some foliage and all sorts of stuff in there, sorted out in individual bags. So yeah, I'll go to those if I need any of that. It's pretty easy to get to them, and I'll just dig through them, and it's sort of an inconvenience, but I don't use this stuff nearly as often as all of the things that are actually in the cabinets. Over here, then, I have Bionicle mostly. This is a bin full of things that I've built, that I've wanted to keep the bricks for in one place. So I have a few Transformers built, they're just not on display. So I've parted them out and put them in a bag, and they're in there if ever I want to rebuild them. Stuff like that. I also have certain special minifigures in bags in here, as well as larger creations. You can see the long-range Buster Cannon for the Shadow Fox in there, stuff like that. You can also see the extension for the Monkey King Warrior Mechs staff in there as well. So just like larger brick-built assemblies that I'd like to keep together, but just don't want on display, I guess. In here is all of my extra Bionicle collectibles, so projectiles and Krana and masks and all that sort of stuff is in here. In here, and I think in the bottom one as well, are all extra pieces left over from Bionicle combiner models I've built. I haven't even shown you guys my huge Bionicle collection that is in the upper throes of my office. I think I'll probably do a larger entire office tour at some point on my second channel, Rollout Reviews. But for now, we're just focusing on the Lego storage. And then in these three bins, I have Bionicle sets, either extras or things I just simply don't have room to display. And then this stuff over here, that's all beat 'em on. None of that is Lego. I'll be honest, I'm a little tired after that. I'm not used to holding a camera as I talk for the better part of an hour straight. I hope you've gained something of value from this. If you've considered sorting your own collection and want to purchase some Akro-Mils cabinets, there are links in the description, and I've pinned a comment down below that'll point you in the right direction. Special thanks to all of my patient Patreon supporters, especially my generous leader class patrons, who are the most patient of all: Valravn, Beyond the Brick, and Beta. Until next time, this has been Rollout, signing off.